Yeah, welcome to Cookie Clicker. Yeah, this is a classic. I remember when this game, I don't know if I remember when this game came out, because it's been going, I think, for over 10 years. But what I do remember is when people started playing this game on YouTube and it kind of blew up a little. Um, and it's still hard to say why, because this is one of those games that, like, is endlessly addictive. Maybe not endlessly addictive, because, you know, I played Cookie Clicker for a long time. I had a save file that I would take from home to school, and I would work on my cookie empire um, during classes and stuff. Um, but but I don't still do that, so maybe it's not endlessly addictive. Okay, maybe it's not quite endless, but it's a game that's very addictive, and it's a formula that, well, I think it started with Cookie Clicker. It 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 is not, like, perfected by Cookie Clicker, and there's a lot of these clicker games that have have kind of gone a step beyond Cookie Clicker and added all these new mechanics, which, granted, a lot of them are in Cookie Clicker now. At the time when Cookie Clicker came out, there was no prestiging and there was no heavenly cookies. Um, Now there is all of that stuff. But, you know, other games did it first. Cookie Clicker's still a really interesting game, but to get to the interesting bits, you have to be quite far along in the game. This is one of the problems with these clicker games, is a lot of them actually are quite interesting. Um, you kind of have to balance them well, though, so that it feels like you're making progress, but you can't make progress too quickly, otherwise you end the game really early. Um, One of these such games that I probably will play on the channel at some point is Idle 1. Idle 1 is an iOS game, so if you don't have an iPhone, you can't play it. But, well, if you have an iPad, you can. But, it's this idle game on iOS where you don't make a lot of progress when you're not playing the game. And that's interesting to me, because a lot of these games are like, there's two kind of sensibilities for idle games, which is you predominantly make progress by clicking, and while you can automate it, like I'm automating now in Cookie Clicker, I've got 9.2 cookies per second. Clearly my best way to make cookies is still to click, because I can get more than 9.2 per second by clicking, right? I can more than double my production by clicking. The other sensibility is you can automate it to a point where your clicks barely matter. And I think Cookie Clicker, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't play Cookie Clicker anymore. I think it falls into both, because early game clicking is supreme. Like, all the way up until the Gram Apocalypse, clicking is really, really good. But that's the point where the auto cookies start to take over a little. But again, I could be wrong about any of that. But I get into the cookie clicking games, the idle games, quite a lot, because it all started with Cookie Clicker, and since then I've been, like, chasing the high of, like, I really need a good idle game. I really want, like, a good incremental game. And very few games have kind of fit that mold. Because at the end of the day, these games are monetized, and a lot of these developers are wanting to get money, right? And that's fine, because, you know, they're doing work, so, like, of course they're gonna want to get paid for it, right? The problem then comes in, does the monetization upset the natural balance of the game. And very, very frequently, the facts are that it does. And then those games are no longer fun for me, because I actually wouldn't mind paying an upfront cost for a game like this. But none of them are that. None of them have an upfront cost. All of them have microtransactions and, you know, subscriptions and stuff like that. And it's like, why would your cookie clicker clone be worth that to me? Out of all the cookie clicker clones, why would I spend money on your one? And so that can kind of be a problem for balance in the kind of the space, right? But it is interesting. There are some games that I know are quite good, but I haven't really played. NGU Idle is a game that frequently gets talked about in communities surrounding Cookie Clicker and other kinds of games. I could not really get into it when I tried playing it. I was like, it's not really for me. I've found myself, you know, the idle genre kind of goes beyond just the clicker genre, because base building games are also in that same kind of niche. They also fill that same kind of criteria. So Minecraft Skyblock, and particularly modded Skyblock, I have found kind of satisfies the part of me that wants to play Cookie Clicker. Those games are all about an ever-expanding empire and getting your numbers higher, and that is the core appeal of Cookie Clicker, is getting the number higher, but more importantly, getting the number higher faster. Because the actual most satisfying part about Cookie Clicker is this number here, 223.8 per second, not this number here, 2000 cookies. Because it's the rate of improvement of your number that is the most satisfying part, in my opinion. So it is interesting. I will probably not play many more of these on the channel. I will play Idle 1, because Idle 1 is interesting. But all of these games are fundamentally the same thing. You click on the thing, you buy some towers, eventually clicking becomes underpowered or overpowered, and honestly I would prefer that the clicking wasn't as powerful, because every mouse, you know, you buy a mouse and it's like, yeah, you get 50 million clicks with this, you get 25 million clicks with this mouse, and it's like, do I really want to spend those clicks on Melonkeeper Gold's Bakery in Cookie Clicker? I don't know, maybe I do. I genuinely don't know if it's worth it, if the amount of fun I get from this is worth it. Like, if I'm playing a shooter, I'm clicking pretty frequently to, like, kill people, right? So maybe I shouldn't worry about that, but it's also, it's something that also creeps into my head quite frequently when I'm playing a game that has a lot of repetitive clicking like this. Like, is this actually worth the dollar amount of my mouse, the dollar amount of my GameCube controller? Is it worth mashing this button? Like, it sounds ridiculous, but also, like, equally, I could play a game where I don't need to click thousands of times each minute just to make any headway in the game. So I don't know. What does this do? Farms are twice as efficient. The farms are producing 8 cookies per second each, but I've got 12, so 96 cookies per second. Oh, the grandmas are also producing 96. That's interesting. The mine would only produce an extra 47, but that produces an extra 96, so it was actually better for me to get that upgrade. Speedruns of Cookie Clicker are really boring. The 1 million cookies speedrun basically boils down to get a really lucky golden cookie right at the start, and then just click your way to 1,000,000. But also, the game doesn't have an end, so like it's kind of hard to do anything other than reach this random amount of cookie.